Walls and religion. Think about the way in which most religions, the great religions of the world, on the one hand, promote a kind of universalism. There's a sky god who's the same everywhere, wherever you are. He's not simply the god of the lake, the god of the mountain, the god of the tribe.
Puterea sfântă am simțit-o numai la necazuri mari. Așa am simțit putere sfântă, numai la necazuri mari. Și amu atâta zic, mare ești, Doamne, și minunate sunt lucrurile Tale. Toate într-o înțelepciune le-ai făcut. Slavă Ție, Doamne! Slavă Ție, Doamne!
Romania. It's not a place I ever thought much about as an American growing up in the 1950s and 60s in Connecticut. My town was full of many Eastern European people, Poles, Ukrainians, not too many Romanians. And I knew nothing about it until I arrived here for the first time about 5 years ago. I was only passing through Bucharest, and like any big city in which you're a stranger, it's hard to take. Being robbed by a cab driver didn't help the experience. So my impressions were somewhat distorted. But now I'm sitting in Iasi, in the northeastern corner of the country, in a place that's obviously very different, and I'm discovering I'm in search of a different Romania. Not a faraway place on a map, but something more ephemeral, something more organic, something more spiritual. I journeyed to a small village called Cogeanu, about 200 kilometers outside of Iasi in Moldova. And there had a real experience of village life in Romania. One of the highlights of my visit was a ride in a horse-drawn cart, which was just terrific. We also were able to meet with an elderly couple who had lived in the same house for many years and speak with them about their life in the communist era. He used to work as a forester for the government of Romania under the communist times, and now is retired and lives with his wife in this extraordinary little place that you see.
De mic copil, de la 14 ani, am început să muncesc, la 14 ani, sigur. Dar ce se întâmplă? În viața mea, n-am fumat niciodată, n-am făcut abuz de băutură și încă, poate de muncă am făcut abuz, poate că am fost nevoit ca să fac, pentru că tot ceea ce vedeți, n-am de la părinți, că am fost negrăjiți, am fost sărmani. Și totul e făcut de mâna noastră, eu cu soții.
Learning about how their life had changed with the end of communism, the forest, the whole issue of how the forest has been now managed under new regimes. In many ways, it was interesting to hear him talk, not as well as it was managed under the communists. Now, commercial interests are coming, clear-cutting huge swaths of this precious forest land, selling the timber off to foreign entities, and it's a real crisis.
Păi ce se întâmplă?
Tinerii au plecat.
Da, au plecat pe străinătate.
Old people. Old people, because the young people go to other countries or to the city?
Rămas mai mult bătrâni.
But even in their life, to talk about their religious life, which is one of the issues that we brought, the Hesychasm tradition lives on. Certainly not in the intense way that it does with the monks, who have this muscular. You see this on Mount Athos. You see this with some of the people that we found live as hermits in the Romanian forests, even still to today. But in a much lighter version, where they might recite prayer for a while as part of their broader experience of the Divine Liturgy, of their meditation before icons, and of their life as believers.
În autorități nu mai are încredere, în justiții nu.
Because we don't trust no other institution.
Și biserica a mai rămas, deci nădejdea în Dumnezeu a mai rămas care
is the only
care ne mai poate salva de la anumite probleme.
And we have hope that church will save us.
There is a problem when we lose a sense of the local, of the intimate, of the particular. And religion also realizes that it begins with the individual, where he or she is in a certain place, in a certain time, in a certain moment.
Și cum stăteați acolo? Aveați bordei? Ați făcut bordei?
Bordei, exact cum o groapă mare și-am pus peste leațuri, bujeac, țărnă și-am pus ca un geam, ca o ușuță, dar aveam și capac deasupra. Când vrea cineva să meargă, nu știe pe unde să intre, dar am avut pe un timp cât era, nu puteam face foc, că se vedea fumul de pe alte păduri. Și când știam că lumea se liniștește, scoteam bagajul și făceam foc. Atâta ca să încălzească pereții. Și după ce se încălzea, scotea tășiune care făcea foc și stângeam tot și pe urmă mă linișteam. Anul întâi a fost foarte greu, dar știi care era la mine? Mai mult mă păzam de oameni răi, nu de fiară sălbatici.
I'm inside the walls of the Cetazuia monastery outside Iași. And this was a structure built in the early 17th century. And the most striking thing about it as I stand here are these walls. A place of peace, a place of monks, a place of worship and prayer, yet surrounded by 50-foot walls. And we remember that religious conflict has always been part of political and civil strife. And when we talk about contested sacred spaces, we talk about conflict between religions. It's not so much the religions that are fighting, I don't think, then or now, but the political forces around the religions. So much so that the good monks knew they needed very high walls.
Și când umblam pe întuneric, vine gânduri rele. Și atunci începeam a mă ruga și simțeam că nu sunt singur, o putere sfântă. Și când vedeam că dădea navală duhurile, atunci stăteam pe loc, mi-era frică. Și cât mă rugam, puteam. Și când a început a mă ruga, am simțit că nu sunt singur, iar mergeam. Dar s-a întâmplat că nu știu dacă știți, poate pusnici care eu, când o da navală Duhului cele rele, mi-a spus Părinte Cleopa, nu sta de vorbă cu gândurile, cu nălucirile. Și-a apărut niște diavoli mici cu capul cam cât aneu de mare. Și ne-a spus Părintele Cleopa că ne vedea că vin, nu cumva să stai de vorbă, trebuie să te rogi, trebuie să stau de a mă ruga, a nu mă duce cu mintea la duhurile cele. Am simțit iadul și-a venit Părintele Cleopa și-a făcut o rugăciune, niște rugăciuni foarte puternice și-a izgonit acele duhuri. Nici până în ziua de azi n-am avut năcaz din partea duhurilor.
In my search for hesychasm, I found that it wasn't just a tradition from the past, but it's very much alive today. I had the privilege of going out to a place called Magura, and there meeting an extraordinary man named Father Epiphanes. He was a priest, ordained probably in the 1940s, in the communist era, but he was able to build a whole church with a convent and a monastery attached. And we were able to sit with him for hours, actually stay there for several days, and observe him, his community of nuns, and also the people. Because this tradition is not something that's limited to the monks. He was not living as a monk. He was living as a priest, serving people who came from the town into this place that he had constructed. And to talk to him, and then to talk to some of the people, one gets the idea that this tradition lives on not only with the monks, but with the ordinary people. Community really begins inside the walls, because it's there we have responsibilities to one another, not to nameless strangers, not to an amorphous other, the way these tireless 20th century French philosophers go on about so often. The question is, what responsibility do we have toward those who have responsibilities toward us? And the monks understood that. That's why they built walls. That's why they lived together in community in which they relied on one another. They prayed together, they worked together, they depended on one another for life. And we see that, I think, so dramatically here in this field. Namst Monastery, built in 1496. That's 4 years after Columbus's first voyage to America. I'm standing here in the cloister, and it is really the only thing that would resemble a Western monastery. The church is really quite different. Built after the influence of the Gothic in the West, it's quite distinct, as is the spirituality that comes out of this place. Monks still live here. It's survived the wars of the 19th century, the catastrophic wars of the 20th century, the Turkish invasions of the late Middle Ages, and all has still gone on. These monks follow the rule of Saint Basil. Together they live, together they pray, but they follow also the prayer of the heart. They seek the hesychastic ways. They seek that silence. They seek that perfection in the mystery of the silence and the darkness of this place. When we talk about hesychasm, we have to talk about Mount Athos. In many ways, it's the most important place. Behind me, you see Mount Athos. It dominates this extraordinary peninsula. So rugged is the terrain on this peninsula that even to this day, these monasteries are accessible only by boat from the mainland. Then there are interior roads like the one we're standing on, which, unlike the one we're standing on, mostly are unpaved and very rugged. It made these places inaccessible and part of nature. And we see here this looming mountain reaching into the clouds, suggestive of transcendence and of the dwelling place of the gods. And it really does lend its character to the whole environs. For 800 years has been a monastic society. Think of a place for monks, by monks, and of monks. A whole peninsula jutting out into the ocean in northeastern Greece, in which there are several monasteries, many of which date back 800 years, still under the patronage of the Patriarch of Constantinople, still following the Byzantine calendar and Byzantine time, living in their own time and their own place. But it was there that hesychasm developed some of its most famous spokespersons, because this prayer of the heart, this strange constant meditation on the holy name of Jesus, had its foes. Other people in the church, other theologians that thought it was too self-centered, that it made too much of the body, that it was really a mistake that would cause monks to be diverted from their true purpose of prayer. And one of the most famous controversies had to do with somebody called Gregory Palamas, who winds up living in Mount Athos, in one of these great monasteries, like the monastery of Vatapede, in which there were hundreds of monks coming to live together in this large structure. Palamas lived there for a number of years and would, even in that setting, seek greater solitude, greater silence. So he would leave for several days a week. He'd leave the large monastery and seek out a small skiti, or small monastery, or sometimes even a cave on the side of a mountain.
Și-am capatat o mângâiere mare și atâta bucurie am capatat că am simțit putere sfântă. Nu mai mă tem de moarte, nu mai mă tem de vrăjmaș. Doamne ajută! Doamne ajută! Și atâta bucurie am simțit. N-am avut îndoială în credință.
Death. We all will face it. All of us will become these skull and bones that we see here, but how many of us ignore it? In my own culture, we ignore it all the time. We get rid of our dead very quickly. We ignore it. We deny it. And here I am looking at a place dedicated to remembering death. Every religion offers us an answer to this great puzzle, this great challenge that we all must face, which is death. And here, these are the bones of the monks. They were buried in the cemetery and then exhumed. and brought here and remembered. And the monks come each week and pray a Mass for the dead, because there's some sense in which they are not dead. They are still with us, part of a mystical community, a mystical communion that goes forward in all time.
Am avut mai multe bucurii de la oameni duhovnicești care au plecat dincolo. Ainstea, am și de la ainstea. M-a mângâiat Duhul Sfânt, prihim. Dar, mai mult, ainstea se uită la ceasul.
Vecilor, amin. Sunt lucruri mai presus de fire, rațional nu poți să le înțelegi, dar ele se săvârșesc prin taina Duhului Sfânt, prin lucrarea Duhului Sfânt în biserică și sunt lucruri mai presus de fire. Ce sunt tainele acestea? Lucrări dumnezeiești, săvârșite în chip văzut de preot, la Sfânta Liturghie, la botez sau la diferite rugăciuni. Și sigur că lucrul acesta miră, cum să nu te mire faptul că spui atunci când frângi pâinea, luați, mâncați, acesta este trupul meu. Și noi, ca și ortodoxi, credem că pâinea se preface în trupul lui Hristos, vinul se preface în sângele lui Hristos. Și atunci, sigur că lucrurile acestea le acceptăm prin credință. Dar lucrurile acestea preînchipuie cele viitoare, pentru că în biserică nu este nici trecut, nici prezent, nici viitor.